Welcome to today's webinar entitled Surveys Anytime, Anywhere with Lighthouse Studio's Offline Interviewing, hosted by your friends at Sawtooth Software. My name is Megan Peitz, and I'm the Ingenuity Ambassador at Sawtooth Software, and I'm joined today by Justin Lester, the Product Manager of Lighthouse Studio. Justin and his team have been working on offline interviewing for the past year, and we are so excited to have officially released this feature. In short, offline interviewing allows you to conduct surveys programmed in Lighthouse Studio without an internet connection. And customers like you have found that this is incredibly useful as our targets become more difficult to recruit and internet connections are spotty. So sit tight while Justin teaches you how to field your surveys using the Offline Surveys app.
Hi, good morning. At least good morning to some of you. Might be afternoon in other parts of the world, but welcome to this webinar. I'm excited to be able to chat with you about offline surveys. We're going to go through a few slides here and then going to do as an extensive demo as possible of offline surveys. So of course, if any questions come up, I'm more than happy to answer them. So hopefully you can hear me and see my slides change. Okay. So what is Offline Surveys? It is the name of this app that we've created that allows you to conduct Lighthouse Studio surveys without an internet connection. We had this in a prior version called CAPI, and I'll talk about that in a second. But this new version works on any Android device that you have. It's available from the Google Play Store, and we also have it available on the Windows desktop, and you can download that app from our website. So let's just kind of go back, and it's very satisfying for us to see where we were and now where we are. So if you didn't know, what did we used to do in prior versions? So it's a little bit confusing. Two product names have changed. SSI Web is now been changed to Lighthouse Studio, and CAPI portion has basically been rewritten to a new thing called Offline Surveys. So prior to Lighthouse Studio version 9 and SSI Web version 8, if you wanted to conduct offline surveys, you would create the survey in SSI Web, and then you would have to export your survey files into kind of these distributable survey packages that were kind of like zip files, and then you emailed them out to each location where you wanted to collect data. So then the field workers would then get this file from you, load it on their Windows machine where they had installed our CAPI application. They then would collect data and export the data back out, to their hard drive or whatever, and attach it to an email and send it in to you. Then you would take all the, look through all the emails and combine all the files and import them back into SSI Web. So this is a very painful process, very painful to be able to update your survey if you needed to make a change. And it only worked on Windows, and there's a few other just rough parts. The interface wasn't that smooth, etc. So that was the old. The new model, we believe, is so much better. And one of the greatest parts about it is just the way that we distribute the survey and the way that we collect the data. It's a really great, beautiful process. So the first step is to create your survey in Lighthouse Studio. Now again, this method is not available with SSI Web. This is only available with the newest version, Lighthouse Studio version 9. So you create your survey in Lighthouse Studio on your desktop, and then you upload it to our hosting system. Then all your devices, you basically install the Offline Surveys app on your Android devices or Windows computers, and when they have an internet connection, they basically just point to our server, to your survey project on our servers, and they're able to download and install the survey on the devices. Of course, the internet is required for this step. But now, once the survey is loaded, these devices can disconnect from the internet. And surveys can, you can now take your Android tablet out into the desert, and you can collect information to run your survey. And one of the great parts about this is the survey, when it runs, is exactly the same offline as it is online. It runs the exact same code and is an identical experience to if they have the internet. So you can do all the same stuff, skip logic, constructed lists, CVC surveys, max-diff surveys, ACVC, etc. It's the exact same. And this happens when the internet is not around. Then, when they're finished, these devices come back to the internet, and they are then able to upload the data they collected back to the server, to the hosting system. And another thing that's great about this is your survey can collect data online as well, and it combines it with the data that's pushed up from the offline devices. So you can kind of do dual mode, both online and offline. And it all comes back into your survey, sitting there in your admin module, and you can look at it and easily download it back to your machine. So much better than we had it before. So just to summarize some of the benefits of this new system, it's a beautiful process for distributing surveys and collecting data. You can easily update your survey. Once you upload an updated version, then if the devices are connected, they will then update as well. The surveys will be updated on them. You can easily, like I mentioned, collect offline data and online in the same survey, and it's all seamlessly combined. The new version now supports Android. The last one did not. The interface was really carefully designed to try to be as simple as possible for the end field worker. And we've also made it difficult, if not impossible, for interviewers to try to muck around and modify the data. In the prior version, the interviewers were, dealing with CSV files, handing them back and forth. And in this version, the data is all handled behind the scenes. Okay, so are there any questions yet, Megan?
Nope, you're good so far.
Okay, if anybody has questions, be thinking about them. I'm now going to launch into a pretty extensive demo. And so I guess feel free to make notes if you like, but on the next slide after this, I give you a link to our manual where most of this stuff is documented. So I don't think you'll need to take too many notes. And this will also be recorded, as Megan said. So. Okay, so launching into the demo, I'm going to get out of my slide presentation. And I'm going to open up Lighthouse Studio. So Lighthouse Studio is essentially SSI Web with more features, and it's been renamed, but it looks pretty much exactly the same. And you're able to create a survey. I made just a quick survey here called Cars. Just do a test so you can see what it looks like. Welcome to the survey on cars. I then ask which cars they would consider purchasing and use a constructed list to bring back the ones they consider, etc. So that's my survey. So now, of course, the task is to get it so people can take it offline. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a project on Sawtooth Software's hosting system. Now, it's important to note that for now, offline surveys, it's required to use our hosting system. And we've had many users request that they can host on their own for various reasons. We are not yet supporting that. We will consider it for the future. It's also important to note that with subscription to Lighthouse Studio, hosting on our hosting services is included. It's free. So there's no additional cost for hosting, and there's no additional cost to use the offline surveys app or the method that I'm going to show you. So that's all included. So first step here, so I'll create your survey. Then I'm going to go into the hosting management area. And I've actually already created a project, but I want to show you how to do that. So if you click on New Project here, then that will launch our this web page here and take you to our hosting account where you can create a new project. Now, if you're not familiar with what projects are, they're essentially a space up on our servers where you can host your surveys. Multiple surveys can be placed in a project. So you give the project a name like cars. You then give it estimated number of completes, when you think it will be finished. And this part right here is the important part, offline surveys. By default, projects aren't enabled for offline interviewing. If you want to enable offline interviewing, you need to select this checkbox. And now this essentially allows the offline surveys app to download this project and all the surveys inside of it. Without this checked, you can't do that. There's also an optional setting here, require an access code to download surveys from this project. So you can not only enable it, but you can require users to have to enter an access code in order to load the survey, any survey from this project. So you can type in whatever access code you want here. Okay, then you fill that out and click Add Project. I'm not going to do that, but I'm just going to show you how to create a new project. You'll see that I've already created a project. I created this car project, and if you click on it, you'll see again that I selected Enable this project, and I entered an access code. Okay, so I'm going to keep this open, and I'm going to go back to my survey. And again, I'll show you that you compose your survey, and then you come into hosting management, and then on the Sawtooth Software Hosting tab, you select the project that you've created that is enabled for offline surveys, which happens to be my car project. And then I'm going to put it in an optional cars subfolder, and then just upload it. Okay, after it uploads, it comes back with these links to your survey. The first link is the link that respondents use to take your survey. The next link is a link to the admin module where you can see the data that's being collected and download your data. I'm just going to click on the first link here and show that my survey has been uploaded, and I can send this link out to anyone to take my survey, and if they have an internet connection, then it just works as normal. You can take the survey. So I'm going to finish one record doing that. Okay. If I go back to Lighthouse Studio and I click on the admin module link, this is where you can see, my screen's a little bit big here. You can see here there's one complete. This was the complete that I just did online, right there, okay? Now I'm going to show you what you all came for, and that is the ability to do this offline. Now, the Offline Surveys app, as I mentioned, is available on Android and on Windows. And to make this presentation easy, I'm going to use my Windows app so I can show it on my screen. But it would work the same exact way. I have actually a tablet here in my office, and Android's installed. I could do it on it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to do it on my Windows, but it's exactly the same. So I've installed Offline Surveys, the Offline Surveys Windows app here, and I'm going to double click it. Okay. And so here is the Offline Surveys app, and you'll see that the default screen says, hey, there are no surveys on this device. to add a survey, please select Add Project below. Okay, Add Project. So it's going to prompt you for this project link. Now this is not the link to your survey, it's the link to your project. And you might wonder where I can get that. Well, if you go back to the hosting account, there next to my car project, there's a Get Links link. And if I click on that, you'll see that there is a project link, and it's helping you. This project link is used for offline surveys. So this is the link that you need. The links here below are the links to access it online. So I'm just going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it inside this project link box and click Add. Now it's prompting me for an access code. Again, this is an optional thing that I did put on here. I put on access code of 1, 2, 3, 4, really secure. But this is an optional thing that you might want. So now it's going to load all the surveys that are inside my project. I only have one survey. I uploaded cars to my project, and so there's only one survey, but you can do multiple. So you can see that there's my car survey. Now if I just click on, yeah, sorry.
Can you give us an example of why someone would have multiple surveys in a project?
First of all, you don't have to do it. One survey per project is just fine. Our intention with projects is it's kind of like a folder. It's like a group of surveys that goes maybe with the same client. So maybe you have a car survey in English and a car survey in Spanish, then I would probably suggest uploading both those surveys to the same project. It's up to you. You don't have to, but the flexibility is there. It is kind of nice though, because all surveys will be loaded. You know, maybe you have a collection of surveys that you want to ask, that you're asking a field agency to do. Maybe there's a group of 3 surveys, and when they walk around town, depending on which person they run into, they'll ask one of 3 surveys. It's just a way to load a group of surveys on the app. Does that help?
Yep, that's exactly what I was looking for.
Okay, so I'm going to show you in a bit how to put another survey in it. So here it is, surveys loaded. Now what can happen is you can all pretend that I've now disconnected from the internet. And once you're disconnected, we're good. Like once this survey is loaded, we're totally fine to disconnect from the internet and go wherever we want. And to launch the survey, you just click on the name of the survey, and here it is. Welcome to the survey on cars. Which cars would you consider purchasing? Which car is your favorite? What do you think, Jaguar? Yeah. Okay. And now I'm going to close the survey. Now you'll notice it says, okay, there's one complete and there's one record not uploaded. It's giving you a status here. Also in the upper right hand corner you'll see there's these arrows with an orange arrow going up. So that's trying to tell you, orange means I have a record and it's not, don't panic, but once you get back to the internet, I'm ready to upload that record. There's something called AutoSync. Now AutoSync is, syncing in general, is when data on the device is saved up to the server, and if the survey has been updated or changed, an updated version of the survey will be loaded. So it's just syncing up with the server. Now by default, AutoSync is turned on, which means every few minutes, if it has an internet connection, it will just do this automatically. So that's kind of a nice feature. If you don't want to worry about clicking this button to upload, it will try to upload if it can every few minutes when there's an internet connection. You can, over here to the left side, there's a menu, and you can come in here to settings, and you can turn off AutoSync if you don't like that behavior. Now, you can manually sync by just clicking on the arrows. So you see now it's spinning, there's a progress bar, and things are being uploaded, and everything's good. So no more orange, Must have been uploaded. Let's go back to our admin module up on the server, if you remember where that's at, and we're going to refresh our screen here, and let's see. Sure enough, there's 2 records up here right now. The first record was the one I just took online, and the second one came from this offline device once the internet connection was made. That makes sense? So that's kind of the big picture there, right? You create the survey, you upload it, and then you load the project on the app, and it loads all the surveys inside of it. You take the survey, and then you sync up the data. There's a I button here. If you click on that, you'll get a little bit more information about, the all records have been uploaded. You have one complete. Here's the total number of records. Here's the project it came from, etc. Okay. I'm now going to show you how to update a survey. So let's make a change to the survey. Let's see here. Any ideas what we want to do here? Which cars would you consider purchasing? Choose from the list below. Okay, so I made a change. And now all I have to do is upload it back to hosting. Going to just click upload, and it's going to update the survey online. Okay, and now if I go back into the Offline Surveys app, and I'm going to manually refresh here. Okay, so supposedly this survey should be updated. So let's test it. I'm going to run it again. Welcome to the survey on cars. Which cars would you consider purchasing? And here's my new text. Choose from the list below. Okay. So that's how easy updating the survey is. Holy cow, that's so much better than it was before. Okay. Again, I finished a survey, so again, there's the orange, one record's not uploaded. I'm going to just manually upload that. Okay, I'm now going to show you that a project can contain multiple surveys. I'm going to upload our sample max diff survey. So here's my max diff survey sample, and I'm going to go to hosting, and I'm going to choose the same project, the car project, and I'm going to put a subfolder in there just to keep things straight. It's inside the car project folder. Inside the car project, inside a max diff folder, and I'm going to upload it. So you can have multiple surveys inside of a project, and you can have multiple projects loaded on your device as well. Just think about it as a folder. Okay, so it's finished uploading, and now I'm basically going to refresh my app here, and you'll see that the max diff survey is now being loaded. So I have multiple surveys loaded on my device, and I'm going to click on the max diff survey, and you'll see here that it can even run max diff. Hopefully you can also see that it's identical experience for how it would be online. You know, the JavaScript runs, etc. Okay. Okay, I'm going to show you something we ran into. This has been in beta for over a year. We were in beta and we had a lot of good testing. One of the things that came back is, what happens when you're just testing around and you want to reset your survey? You know, right now I'm just testing, but I wouldn't want that test data to get mixed up with my real data, so I probably should reset my survey. And what happened in one of the test cases was someone reset their survey, and that's good. All the data in their survey was deleted and reset. But then the next time the device is connected to the internet, they pushed all the data again. So it was just like they couldn't reset because the devices still wanted to push their data up. Okay, so what I'd like to show you how to reset the data. So I have some practice data here loaded in the app, and I want to show you the best way to clear out that practice data and get it ready to go live. So first thing I'd like to do is to make sure I have my data backed up, because of course, well, in this case it's practice data, but I failed to show you the step where you actually download the data to your Lighthouse Studio. So I want to show you that. So I'm going to go back to Lighthouse Studio and open up my CARS survey. And I'm going to go into data and click on get data. So you saw that it was up on the admin module. I'm just showing you how you can get it back down to Lighthouse Studio. So there you go, 2 respondents. And I click view data, and there they are. Okay, so I'd like to show you how you can reset practice data on the server. So I'm going to go up to the admin module. And you can see here I have 2 completes up on the admin module, and back in the app it says that there are 2 completes on the app. And I'm going to reset the survey. And of course you only want to do this if you truly have the data backed up, or you've just been practicing and you want to clear it all out. So I'm going to reset the survey. It will delete all the data off the server, and it will also delete the data down on the app. And then if you look at the app here, and we're going to refresh it, next time it syncs, it will also reset the app. So we ran into an issue during the beta test where we had to do this, because you can imagine if you clicked reset up on the admin module and then we didn't remove it down on the app, the next time it synced, all the data would come back to you again. Now we're careful, we don't remove data on the app that would be newer than that was collected after you click reset. So reset will only remove all the data that was collected prior to that moment. So, okay, final thing I'd like to show you is what you do when you're all finished. You can remove your survey. So if you just remove your survey, the next time that your app syncs with the server, it will remove the survey from the app. So let's try that. So this deletes it off our hosting system. And then down on the app, next time it syncs, a final backup is made, and you'll notice that the CARS survey is no longer there. You can also go into projects over here in the menu and basically disconnect this app from the project by clicking delete here. When you're all finished, you want to go back into hosting. And you can then remove the project off the server as well by clicking delete project. Okay, I don't have any more to show on the demo. Are there any questions about the demo before I kind of finish up and finish up with the slides?
Not specifically about the demo. We have a couple of general questions, but I think we'll wait until you go through the rest of the slides and ask those at the end.
Okay. Okay, so went through a few steps there. If you go to this link, we do have some online help here that will kind of give you kind of a video overview. You can scroll through here and get a big overview. Over here to the left, there's some specific steps, kind of the same steps that I went through that you can follow. For instance, install the app here. It explains how to get it from the Play Store if you're doing Android. or also how to get it off our website. It's pretty good, but we do have additional features we want to add. Some of the possible features we're thinking about. One of the first ones that I want to make sure you're aware of is this quota control. So quota control in Lighthouse Studio works as you would expect. The problem is, once it gets loaded onto a device, it's basically running quota control on just that device. So devices don't know about each other yet. So that's kind of a sticky point. Maybe in the future, once the devices sync up, then all the devices will be updated with their current status. But you can imagine, once the devices are offline, there's no way that device A can communicate with device B that it has collected 4 females, right? So in the offline state, there's nothing we can do. But in the future, we probably could make it a little better so that when the devices reconnect, their quotas can also be synced across all the devices. And so that's something that we need to think about. Another feature we're thinking about is just having the data be always encrypted on the device. We've also had, like I mentioned, various requests for hosting on your own servers for various reasons. But again, hosting is included with a subscription. So you'd have to have a pretty good reason to want to do that. We also have requests for recording the GPS position, taking pictures and video, and also recording audio from the microphone on the device. These are all things we are going to consider moving forward. Okay, as I mentioned a few times, offline surveys is included with Lighthouse Studio. You can't do this process with the SSI Web version 8. You have to move to the subscription with Lighthouse Studio. Here's a link to download Lighthouse Studio if you haven't seen it before. Here's the link also to the Windows app and the Android app. Okay, that's all I got.
Great, thanks Justin. A couple of questions. So can you talk to me about why the app isn't available in the Apple Store and only in the Android Store?
It's a really good question. So what we did was we have Lighthouse Studio, which creates surveys, and then when you upload the surveys, the code base is written in something called Perl. And so we were able to find a fairly simple way to get our existing code, our existing Perl code, to run on Android. But to get it to run on the iOS, the Apple system, was much more difficult. And so we did not consider going to Apple for that reason. As you might know, Android is a much more open environment and more flexible than is Apple. And it would take a lot of work on our end to get it to work on Apple. I wouldn't say we're never going to do it, but it's not likely we're going to do it anytime soon. And I wish we could, but so there's some technical reasons why it might not be worth our time.
Great, thanks. Can you talk a little bit about the information that is captured by offline device? So can I actually tell which interviewer or which device did which interview?
Yeah, devices will store an ID. Let's see here. If you look in this data here, there is a device ID. There's a column that says sys CAPI device ID. See this column? This is a pretty crazy number, but it's a big, long, unique number, and you can find that ID back in on your device. If you go into About, there is this long, unique device ID. So if you wanted to, you could track down exactly which device submitted that information.
Perfect. I think that's helpful too, to keep track of interviewers and how much progress they're making, and especially if your interviewers are in different locations as well. Justin, earlier you had talked about you could take your survey out into the desert, right? Could you give us some examples or share where some of the offline surveys have been or can be conducted?
Well, as is the title of the webinar, anywhere. I guess they'd work on Mars, but you'd have to get back to an internet connection after you were done. We did a long beta period, and I did, there was a lot of stuff going on, all over the globe, especially outside the United States. There's a lot of places where the internet's not as strong. There were some spots in Mexico and in India. We had it be done on ferry boats out in the Atlantic, in Africa. So a lot of interesting, cool places. Also within the United States, there were some surveys being done in national parks, places where the internet was not available. Also in caves. There was also a group interviewing miners down in caves, and of course the internet most likely doesn't work down in the cave. So really some cool places, and it really, one of my motivations for pushing this whole thing is to be able to take Sawtooth software everywhere, especially conjoint analysis, to be able to do MaxDiff and CDC surveys everywhere.
Great, and I'll just make another comment about that too. You don't have to be in these foreign or exotic or low internet places. There's a lot of people who do intercepts in conference halls or hotels or malls, and internet can just be spotty. So having the capability of offline surveys as a backup can be really helpful, especially as a practitioner by nature. It's really great to see that the survey that's on these offline devices, on the Android tablets and things, looks exactly like the survey that would be conducted on the internet. From like a practitioner standpoint, that's a really good thing. You don't have to worry about some sort of bias in the way that the survey was portrayed.
Yeah, very good point. There are places where they don't want the internet for security reasons. Some places in airports and things where it's just like, well, we don't want the internet, so let's just not do it for now. Turn off the internet, collect offline, and then sync later.
Okay, great. One last question. Justin, can you just elaborate on the point about how anything that you program within Lighthouse Studio can be turned into an offline surveys interview, in the sense that all of our question types work, all of the Perl, the JavaScript, etc. works the same. All of our survey styles are available. It's pretty much seamless in terms of going from a desktop survey over to the offline surveys app. Can you just talk about that, for example, and like that we can have multi-response selects, etc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really think that's an advantage that we have. I guess I don't know too much about our competitors, but I am be my guess that there are other systems out there that have maybe a powerful online version, but when you go to their offline version, it might be watered down, or what I'm guessing might happen is it's actually a different code base. It's a different product. It tries to do a wimpier version or something like that. I don't know. With our version, there's nothing like that because it is the exact same survey. In fact, the exact survey and all your code are just placed on the device. So you might be aware that Lighthouse Studio can be extremely flexible. You can put in your own custom HTML, your own custom JavaScript, and your own custom CSS, and you can do your own custom Perl. You can do some crazy things. All that's going to work identical. In fact, there's not too much worry. I mean, you always want to test. You don't want to test everywhere. But I would say with 99% confidence, if it works, if you've tested it online, then it's going to work identically offline. And that's because we simply copy and paste the code onto the device. So I don't know. I think it's a pretty cool thing. And I think you can run, there's no limitations. There's no, the offline version is a little wimpier than the online version. Nope. Exactly the same, copy, paste, and you have full functionality. Drag and drop, everything's going to work.
Right. And Justin, can you pull up Lighthouse Studio really quick if you have it open? I just wanted to show the attendees too, when you go to preview or test the questionnaire, you can, in version 9 of Lighthouse Studio that comes with offline surveys, you can actually change the view to take a look at what it would look like on a tablet or a mobile smartphone.
Okay.
I'm programmed to say iPhone. You can actually preview it that way. We would always recommend that you test it on the devices once they're uploaded just to make sure. But we do have those mobile improvements. Feel free to check out that latest webinar. But we've made it what we think is essentially easy for you to go from desktop to tablet. So you wanted to show that really quick?
Yep, so just within the preview mode, or when you actually test the survey locally, here in version 9, you can click on this icon here that looks like a small phone, and it will shrink the survey to simulate what it might look like on a phone. And this is pretty close, but as Megan said, you're always going to want to try to test the actual device if you can. Here it's testing a medium phone, but you could test on a tablet, for instance, and you can say, hey, this is what my survey is going to look like on a tablet. And you can also rotate a tablet, so what does it look like when they're in horizontal view, and what does it look like in kind of portrait, vertical orientation. And then you can flip back to how it would look like on the desktop. And when you test the survey, same thing. This ability to actually take the survey as it looks like on a small device is also available.
Great, thanks Justin. So just as a reminder, you have access to Offline Surveys app if you are on Lighthouse Studio version 9. If you are still on version 8 or don't have Lighthouse Studio, feel free to send myself or Justin an email or support@sawtoothsoftware.com, and we'd be happy to work with you on getting that set up for you. Thanks everybody for attending. We hope you enjoyed the webinar and hope to see you at the next one. Thanks so much.
Thank you.